Well, to discuss this and more, let's go to Rome, where I'm joined by Valerio Bordonaro. He's an advisor to Italy's former center-left Prime Minister Enrico Letta. And in Beijing, we have China affairs analyst Qinduo. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us. Valerio, let me start with you. Are Italy's European partners and the United States correct in being a bit nervous about this?
This Belt and Road Initiative could be considered as a Marshall Plan of the 21st century. So it's normal to keep a very high level of attention on it. We don't really care about the US opinion on that. Of course, they are our best allies, but it's not their business to comment about that. But the European Union opinion is very important. We, as Italy, we don't have the strength to negotiate on our own on this, and we'd better to do it in a European accordance.
What does China want in return, Xu? So infrastructure projects, Italy gets absorbed into this major project. What do the Chinese need in return?
Well, for Chinese, Belt and Road Initiative is really at the very beginning is more about to help reduce overcapacity within China. So China has a very strong power to manufacture all kinds of products. But gradually, it's really about infrastructure construction. But that's based on the development experience of China. When you have infrastructure, when you invest in infrastructure, you have a better infrastructure that will facilitate the business and will also create jobs for your people. That's economic development. And then, when cross borders is really about investment and trade. That's most of, say, Belt and Road Initiative.
Valerio, at what cost?
Who knows? The point is either we are negotiating on our own and being the first European country in the Belt and Road Initiative, or doing it at a European level. What we see now is that Greece, for the first time in history, has refused to adopt something from the UN about civil rights in China, not in agreement with the European partners. We don't want to see Italy doing this kind of stuff. And of course, China is a very powerful actor in the international scenario. And the negotiable strength is very different between us and them. At what cost? Who knows? But it's kind of dangerous.
Right.
It's kind of dangerous to take it
seriously. So we have Valerio giving one example that the Greeks are hesitant to criticize China because they're doing business with them. We've seen it with other countries as well, Pakistan and others, right? So is that going to be perhaps the minimum political expectation from the Chinese, that if you're doing business with us, at least don't say anything about our internal issues? Is that just expected?
No, it's, that's on human rights issue. In terms of human rights, different countries have different understanding, standards. For example, there's differences between developing countries and developed countries, because they are focusing on probably prioritize different areas.
No, but I mean, China signed up to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, right? At the UN, it's a member of the Security Council.
That's right. That's right. But also, when Greece is making a decision, that's really their decision. Speaking of unity within European Union, are they unified in terms of immigration policy? Is Italy in line with Germany? No,
they're not.
In terms of the Iranian policy, they are different. Like Poland is holding this summit. Well, the big powers, they are not sending their foreign minister to join
That's a good
summit.
point. That's a good point. So let me ask Valerio about it. There's a cynical geopolitical interpretation of what's going on beyond the economics to say that China is capitalizing on the European divisions that we see within the European Union right now. Is that true?
Well, I would say it's 100% true. A unified Europe would not respond in this way to a powerful China. But let me state, we in Europe, we have a very bad track record, but a great experience in trying to capitalize our strength and power all over the world. And we know these things. Owning the critical infrastructure, owning the debt of a country means owning a country. So we have to be very careful about that. You know, we have to negotiate seriously with China and from a better point of view, with a strong national position or with a strong European position that will be stronger than any national position.
At the moment,
anyway.
Valerio, do you think that the Italians are negotiating from a very weak position?
Of course, we have the weakest government ever, the least recognized government in international affairs, and of course they are very divided on this. You know, the majority, so the League and the Five Stars Movement, they have very different opinion on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so yeah, we're in the weakest position possible.
So Xu, let me ask you then. There are those that look at the Italians and they say, hey, we have nothing against the Chinese, but you guys need to be careful because you're weak, you need money, you need investment. Look at what happened to Sri Lanka, billions of dollars with the Hambantota port, and then that's just debt trap diplomacy. You're indebted to the Chinese for the rest of your lives.
No.
You can't get out of it.
No.
Tell me why you disagree.
That's a fallacy. That's a fallacy about the Hambantota port issue. If you want to go to detail, that's a different story. It's for another day, probably another story. If you
we've had discussions about it on this show, but anyway, continue. Go ahead.
Yeah, 123 countries have signed up to the Belt and Road Initiative. Even you are right about the Hambantota, that's only one or two examples. So the majority of them are actually very successful. Look at the Piraeus port in Greece. You know, from 2015 to 2018, 3 years' time, the amount of goods they handled has increased by 45%. That's created a lot of jobs, a lot of revenue for local government. I think Greece benefited a lot from that. The Chinese company who invested in that benefited a lot from that. This is a win-win cooperation. It is similar in the Italian case. Speaking of Italian debt, they should talk to the European Bank, the Central Bank of European. You can ask who owns Italians' debt. That's the Central Bank of European. That's not the Chinese company or Chinese government. No.
Yeah. So if you're already a gambling addict, why would you go and, I don't know, go to a new casino and start gambling some more, right? Isn't that the whole point about the Italian economy? Why are you taking on more debt with more friends, Xu?
No, it's not about taking more debt. It's not that stage at all. I don't see any talk about the debt, any talk about the financing those projects. We're talking about the port. We're talking about more Chinese goods probably using the Italian port and then transport them to Germany or to Eastern European countries. That will create a lot of revenue for the local port in Italy. Mm-hmm. And also we're talking about Italian export to the Chinese market, which is increasing by 25% per year. And with Belt and Road, they can export much, much more to the Chinese market because made in Italy is worshipped, is admired in China. Chinese consumers love Italian products. Why not?
Okay.
Any smart government will do that.
Okay, so Valerio, Xu's making the economic argument. He's saying that this would be a massive stimulus to the Italian economy and provide jobs. Are you willing to give him the benefit of the doubt?
Well, of course, you know, I'm a very big supporter of the Belt and Road Initiative, and I know that Italy has a critical need for foreign direct investment. The point is that not at all costs. I would like Europe to be a partner of the Belt and Road Initiative and not Italy to be an object in the Belt and Road Initiative. So if we find the right conditions to negotiate this initiative, I will be very happy, and all the European Union will benefit from that. I said at the beginning, it can be more important than the Marshall Plan. It can be the most important development initiative in our century, but we will not be the subject of the initiative, but a partner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So we know what the agenda is. We know what the plans are all about. Looking forward to hearing more details come out of the meetings when they do happen. Gentlemen, for the moment, thanks for joining us. Valerio Bordonaro and Qinduo. Good to have you on the Newsmakers.